Hey everyone, John Doyle. Going to talk about the Peter Pan today. Peter Pan is the prep race for the Belmont Stakes. It's going to be this Saturday at Aqueduct, Belmont at Aqueduct. And I guess in the past, it's led to about 12 winners of the Peter Pan went on to win the Belmont Stakes. So I would say it's a pretty good prep race. And I love this race. There's just so many good horses that kind of ran in this race. Tonalist was one of my favorites to win the Belmont. Archangelo, one of the most frequent ones. So anyway, it's been a great prep race for the Belmont Stakes, and maybe again, let's see. I think the one horse Protective and the six Antiquarian give Todd Pletcher a pretty good hand in here. We're going to get to that. Just want to first take a look at the plot. The plot fit is yellow. The contention is a snowflake, so not much contention. The speed rating is kind of average. So that typically favors his horses kind of early, forward early. That would be like the 2, the 4, the 6, look like, that my favorite. But, you have to look at all things. And a great way to look at kind of across all categories of handicapping is this summary V bar that you have. And we default to that now. I don't know if you've noticed that. And you can see in the case of the 2, he's kind of below on speed and also on class. The floor is below on plot. You notice that the 2, he's actually in quadrant 3, which is actually better for this race at this distance than quadrant 4, quadrant 1. So it's kind of an oddity. The 3 looks like he plots real well, big square right in center. There's some things about the 3 as we start getting into the form that we'll look at, especially the last race, the Lexington. You see this, it's hard to read here a little bit more. When I get to the grid, we can see a little bit more. It's grit minus. That means he just didn't show the class and grit needed to get past the horse late. And he really just I thought, got a perfect kind of setup. He got covered up, moved inside horses, was in the clear, perfect striking distance, and couldn't get past Encino. So I don't want to take him at too short of a price. He's the second choice. The favorite is the 5 Tuscan Gold. Plots as a quadrant 4 square, small square. Nothing like terribly wrong with the horse. It's just price wise, when you start comparing them to the 6 and to the 1 and some others in here, it just doesn't line up to be 2 to 1. Now that might change, so make sure you watch the board. And the other thing I didn't like about his last race in the Louisiana Derby, which was a common race with him and the 6, was this no line, which is he kind of drifting. I don't like drifting. Now it could be, sometimes it's greenness, but the drifting sometimes is worrisome. It's usually maybe something physical or a lack of focus or whatever. And, you don't want to take too short a price on either one of those things. So I wanted to show you the 1, even though he kind of plots as a deep, and he's a nice big square, but he's a deep quadrant 4 square. And this is where I'm going to be against the plot a little bit. And I'm going to show you. That's why you got to stay loose in terms of, looking at the plot sometimes. This horse is lightly raced. I'm going to go to, let me get out of this and I'm going to go to the grid. There we go. Okay. I'm going to pull up the 1. Yeah, he's only had 3 races. Debut was sprinting, so hard to gauge much there. Other than you look at the extended note, he's always good to read. Good extended wide move on the turn, just missed against what looked like a quality winner. So, debut, Saratoga, those are the best. This is his 2-year-old season. He ran an 81, so there's a lot more upside when these horses run 81 debut. Usually, like we're kind of like 1.5 points a month after that. So, this is a horse that's probably could improve 15 points. So then he eventually did. His second start was at Tampa, maiden race. Didn't like the no line, kind of drifting there late. Didn't get it done, and so. But that was off a long layoff. Okay, maybe just give him a break on that one. And he came back, and I thought in a pretty good Wood Memorial, considering he was against the flow. He had trouble at the start. If you look at the extended comment, lost position shortly out of the gate, was too far back to be a serious threat. Was the only runner. And this is very important when you look at these types. The only runner that made significant ground. So I think the fact that he looks like he's far back is one race was a sprint that we kind of were judging him on, and the other race he had trouble at the start. So I mean, if you look at the works coming into this race, you can see he's got a little bit more swift works coming into this race. So I expect this horse closer to the pace, not on top of the pace, but closer to it, maybe in fourth. Could sit, maybe save ground. And I think this horse has got great finishing ability, as you can tell by the square in Optix, right? The big square. So he's got the finishing ability. So a horse that I think is going to be closer to a pace that doesn't look like it's going to be all that demanding. And then I think he's finishing and at 8-1. I think this horse is a great prospect to win the race. The 6 is the other horse I thought was a little interesting. The other Todd Pletcher horse comes out of that same Louisiana Derby as the 5, who was the favorite. Again, another lightly raced horse who hasn't really made from the numbers wise, hasn't gone backwards yet. Second in debut, second race, despite bad weather, was able to win. Did get a perfect trip, but then came back, and even though he was acting up the gate, had trouble to start, didn't run so badly, and improved his figure too, his speed figure. So this is a horse that, again, with a race where their pace doesn't be much pace, might be able to sit close, third or fourth, be able to kick home. I think those two Pletchers have some upside. The favorite I talked about being no kind of having a big differential on these horses. The other horse I thought was a little bit interesting too was the number 7, Deterministic, especially if you try to round out your exotics. Could be an exacta or maybe the try. Comes out of Wood Memorial. I mean, this horse was impressive in his debut. You can look at the comments here: steady, strong finish, B+. Those are very good throwings. Minor stretch traffic. Alter inside horse, finished up well, shows some athleticism. This horse has got ability, so he's another horse I would really consider here. I'm going to forgive the Wood Memorial a little bit. You can see the rank comment and kickback too aggressively early stages. Just maybe wasn't his day, but this horse has definitely have ability. So when I'm looking at this race, I'm against the favorites, at least on the morning line, the 3 and the 5. Let me go to the 3 a little bit. Oh, I talked about the 3 in the grit. That's the only thing I want to talk about again. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but this grit minus on this horse, thought he got a perfect setup. The 3. I just think when I'm looking at this race, price wise, I want to kind of focus on the Pletchers, 1 and 6, and the 7, Deterministic for Clement. Those are the horses that I'm interested in the Peter Pan. And I think these are the 3 horses that, if anything, could springboard to the Belmont too, because they're all lightly raced. They've all shown ability. And I would pay attention to all 3 of these going forward. Okay. That's John Doyle from Optix EQ. Check us out on Twitter at Optix EQ. Come to the website, optixeq.com. We're working on cleaning up the website, doing some stuff. So, check us out in the future. You'll see some good things and good improvements, I think. And thanks for listening.